Yo, guys, Justin Jaynes with the 10-7 here. And waves are going to be made in the heavyweight division in MMA, and not quite the UFC just yet. But MMA has acquired a legend on the collegiate and Olympic wrestling scene, a former professional football player. This guy is a super athlete. And if you guys tuned in to the live show earlier today, we had already talked about his MMA debut. That's right. I'm talking about Gable Steveson. Now, there has been a high-level credentialed wrestler make his way onto the scene before. And if you guys know him, his name is Brock Lesnar. Now, if you remember, Brock Lesnar got into the UFC, I believe, at 3-0. Got a shot at the UFC championship almost right away. I believe he lost his first fight for the UFC championship, but he got a rematch. And he beat, why can't I think of his name? Oh my gosh. Frank Mir, excuse me. He beat Frank Mir for the UFC championship. But now, in my opinion, we even have a bigger legend stepping up, and I'm talking about Gable Steveson. Now, guys, Gable Steveson is exactly what MMA is missing. And I've talked about this before on shows. What does the heavyweight division lack? And it's athleticism. All right? The heavyweight division, obviously they're big, they're strong, but you look at these guys' physiques, a lot of them have bellies hanging over their shorts, and I'm not one to judge too much on that. But, you know, where are these super athletes? And let me tell you where these super athletes typically go. You know, there's not that much money in the UFC just yet, especially for beginner fighters. You know, when Gable Steveson makes his UFC debut, he's probably going to start somewhere around $20,000. So why, you know, would a super athlete like Gable Steveson or John Jones, Gable Steveson or somebody else just not transition to football where they're making real money? So I firmly believe, and I stick to my guns here, true athletes, the best athletes in the whole world are football players. They are the biggest, they are the fastest, they are the strongest. They have to, and they have the best footwork, you know, some of the best footwork anyways. You know, when it comes to athleticism, they can jump the highest, they can sprint the fastest, they can lift the most weight. So, you know, these super athletes, instead of going into MMA or going into football, what are going to pay dividends, which I also feel football is a little bit easier of a sport. Now, don't get me wrong. There's incredible injuries in football and, you know, getting smoked. And, you know, I have friends that play professional football. A really good friend of mine, Jerome Sapp, he was a special teams captain under Peyton Manning, under Ray Lewis for the Ravens, Peyton Manning under the Colts, 8 years in the NFL, man. And this guy is a monster of a man, played at Notre Dame. And we've talked about some of the injuries he's had to overcome. But the paydays are just so much better than the UFC. So why wouldn't these super athletes, why would they want to go to MMA when they can make it to the NFL and make these super paydays? So I firmly believe, and I stick to my guns again on this, once these athletes are able to get paid enough and, you know, and use that athleticism, use that tenacity. Now, when we talk about somebody like Gable Steveson, this guy has the athleticism of an NFL player. He played for the Bills for a year in 2024. I don't know if he was on the practice squad, but I know he made the cut in 2024. This guy is an Olympic champion wrestler. This guy is an NCAA Division I champion. He's a Big Ten champion. He wrestled at Minnesota. He was a Minnesota Gopher, one of the best wrestling programs in the country, guys. So we need to be excited about this, because not only does Gable Steveson bring the athleticism of a true superstar athlete, he brings the tenacity and the hard-headedness of a collegiate and Olympic level wrestler. When we look at like Bo Nickal is super, super tough. He is an incredible wrestler, but he doesn't have that athleticism like somebody like Gable Steveson does. Bo Nickal can't go play professional basketball. Bo Nickal can't go play professional football, but someone like Gable Steveson can. And guys, we got to get excited about this, because this just doesn't happen very often. I know a couple years ago, defensive end from the Cowboys, he was an NFL, all-pro NFL defensive end from the Cowboys, Greg Hardy. He transitioned to MMA, and although Greg was super big, and I knew him personally, I trained with him at Extreme Couture, super big and super strong, he just didn't have that mental edge that wrestlers do, that wrestling grind. I mean, when I wrestled Greg Hardy weighing 180 pounds, you know, and no offense to Greg, Greg's a great guy. I know a lot of people don't like him, say he beats his wife, which I don't know. It's all hearsay. And, you know, he had cocaine in a party, but regardless of that, I like training with Greg a lot. And I also remember beating him up in wrestling. I'll tell you what, straight up, I beat Greg Hardy in wrestling. But if it came to Gable Steveson, hell no, no chance at all. Guys, everyone was excited about Brock Lesnar with his wrestling pedigree, but Gable Steveson is 10 times that of Brock Lesnar. Yes, Brock Lesnar, I believe, played for the Vikings. He was a super athlete, and hence he came in and became the UFC champ with just wrestling. But seeing Gable Steveson in his debut, he is in a boxing stance. He threw kicks. You know, he threw punches. He didn't just rush in for the takedown. I mean, he got the takedown relatively quick, but it wasn't like, you know, as soon as the bell rang that he came in and tried to dive in for the takedown. He struck a little bit. All right. I want to pull up Gable Stevenson's Wikipedia here, guys, just to show you guys what this guy has already accomplished at the young age of, let me tell you, 25 years old. If this doesn't get you excited, I personally don't know what will. Let me zoom this up so you guys can see this. All right, guys, here's Gable Steveson right here, 25 years of age, hometown, Apple Valley, Minnesota, wrestled at University of Minnesota, 6'1", 265 pounds, professional wrestler in the WWE for a little while, made his debut in 2023. Now, we look at his wrestling, freestyle and folk style. You know, he was a gopher, you know, over at Minnesota. All right, we look at his football career. He was a defensive tackle, incredible position, just like Greg Hardy. Again, weighed 280 pounds when he was playing football. Played on the Bills, off-season or practice squad member. All right, so he didn't officially play on the team, but he was looking at, you know, going that route. And the Bills hosted him, man. And the Bills are one of the best teams in the NFL. Now, this is what gets me really excited, guys. And I'm going to zoom it up even more so we can focus on this. All right. Men's freestyle wrestling representing the United States. Olympic Games, gold medalist, 2020. Pan American Championships, 2021, gold medalist. Under 20, World Championship, gold medalist. Under 17, World Championship, gold medalist. Gold medalist. Collegiate wrestler representing the Minnesota Gophers, 2021, 285, gold medal. 2022, gold medal. 2025, he had a little bit of layoff there, silver medal. 2019, oh, that's kind of a weird one. So 2019, bronze. 2021, 22, silver. Man, and I tell you what an upset this was, this 225 in Philadelphia, but still competing with the best wrestlers in the world year after year. I mean, essentially since 2017, under 20, look at 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11 gold medals at some of the hardest tournaments, the Big Ten championships. This is Big Ten wrestling. And you look at the matchup here. You got Michigan. You got Michigan State. You got all these other, you got these California schools out here. I mean, the Big Ten is Minnesota, you know, like this is just beyond impressive. One bronze medal out of all these, one silver medal or two silver medals, and the rest are gold, guys. This guy has done everything in athletics. Again, competing at the highest level in wrestling, competing at the highest level in professional wrestling, competing at the highest level of football. Gable Steveson is just on another level. And I mean, like I said, looking at these accomplishments, you know, I'm going to back out of the Zoom just so you can see them all at one and really get impressed by this guy. But starting with the Olympic Games, look at this. Now, we're going to move over to his MMA debut against Braden Peterson. And let me tell you, Braden Peterson was a guy that we know, me and Huzefa know, from Fusion Fight League. He is the Fusion Fight League champ. All right? And Gable Steveson worked with him. We're going to go over here. We're going to go through this fight real quick and show you why I'm so excited about this guy. All right. Okay, here we go. Comes in. I mean, look at this guy. This guy's in the defensive end stance right now. Braden Peterson, man. For how tough Braden is, he's a cop. But look at him. He's in a fight stance. He's not in a wrestling stance. Look at this. This guy's working his striking. This guy is going to be problems. Dodges that. Look, I believe look at it. He wants to engage, wants to throw the jab. Boom. Throws a body kick. Boom. Snatch, single, dumps Braden off like a sack of potatoes. And Braden is a big man, super heavyweight. He's a cop. Like, this guy is very familiar with combat. We get the takedown. But the thing that impresses me, look at this ground and pound. Like, once Gable Steveson gets on top of these heavyweights in the UFC, I don't see anybody getting up. I mean, look at this, holding his right hand across his face. And this is just devastating ground and pound. And think of the strength. I mean, Braden Peterson is no slouch. This guy's big. This guy's strong. Look at, he's looking for his key lock there. He does need to get side position to finish it. That's just a little bit of inexperience here. But the ground and pound that Gable Steveson he's gonna bring to MMA is, man, I personally think it's gonna be like nothing we've ever seen before. And unlike Brock Lesnar, Gable Steveson didn't come out there in a low stance. Gable Steveson didn't rush in for a double leg. He pulled off a snatch single, which no heavyweights are doing. Look at this, ground, boom, boom. Look at him just postured. Braden is as tough as they come, but what do you do when you got someone like Gable? Look at this. He's not even sitting on him, and Braden can't do a thing. Guys, if this guy doesn't get you excited about the direction the heavyweight division is going, I don't know what will. Again, I've been saying this for years. Super athletes go to the NBA. Super athletes go to the NFL. That's where the big paydays are. But right now, we have Gable Steveson making the transition, and he is a super athlete, might even be better than a super athlete. If we get a fluctuation of these super athletes, these heavyweight wrestlers that can make that transition to MMA, like Gable Steveson is about to do, we are going to see a new era of heavyweight fighters, these super athletes. I tell you what, man, I'm going to talk a little shit about the heavyweight division. These guys are coming in. Look at Roy Nelson's physique, man. Roy Nelson is an incredible fighter. I guess he's a teammate of mine at Extreme Couture, but he has that big gut hanging over. Can you imagine if he took his training serious? Or I shouldn't say just his training, because he does train really hard. I don't want to take away from that. But his diet, he got rid of that big gut and put some muscle on his arms. You got even Daniel Cormier, incredible wrestler, comes from the wrestling roots. And, I think Gable Stevenson's even a better wrestler than Daniel Cormier. And look at Gable Stevenson's physique compared to Daniel Cormier. Gable Steveson takes training serious. Gable Steveson takes his diet seriously. Man, if we get this flux of these high-level wrestlers and these high-level football players, and I don't just mean high-level football players that they're athletic. I'm talking about high-level football players that want to get down and dirty and get to the grind, because the grind that you have to transition to from football to MMA, remember, football plays essentially 8 seconds long. After 8 seconds, you get a 40-second break, So these guys are really fast and explosive for that 8 seconds, but they get a long break. MMA isn't like that. You got to repace your mind and repace your physicality to be able to last for 15 minutes. Guys, there is nothing more than I want to see than more of these super athletes transition to the light heavyweight and the heavyweight division. And I tell you what, it is going to make for so much more exciting fights when you see these great, great athletes just going head to head. I think Gable Stevenson's going to be on Dana White's Contender Series, maybe with one more win. I truly think that Gable Steveson is the future of the heavyweight division, guys. Tell me what you think in the comments after watching this video.